Hey everybody, we just had our launch event a couple days ago. Great event, great speakers. Really excited that we had such a great crowd show up. I'm going to show you the speech here, so that's going to be coming up, and really looking forward to speaking to you all soon.
Benson and I first met when I was in fourth grade. Benson then in sixth grade, the older brother of my best friend Brandon. We were not explicitly friends, him being older than I. However, I have many memories of standing around, talking politics with him, discussing business ideas, crafting thoughts. This all came to fruition when I was in sixth grade playing football at Benson's house. Then I got the call up to Benson's room for the business discussion. The topic, Baseball Podcast Network. Benson, a lifelong baseball fan, his first business. I can't remember exactly what happened there, but I know I came out of there owning 30% of the business. I told him I needed to have the proper equity to be motivated. I don't know if I ever actually showed up to another board meeting for the Baseball Podcast Network, but Benson, I'm still expecting a nice check in the mail one day. Benson and I went on, though, discussing ideas. Although we agree on the main principles of our values, there is often disagreement. Constant debate on what the precise truth is, what the exact problem is, the exact solution. Benson nor I seem to believe in a settled discussion. Perhaps we believe that if we agree completely, then we must be missing some greater solution to the problem at hand. But maybe this is just me logicifying my way out of saying we're both argumentative people. I really do believe it, though. The important part of what I said is that our debate, we agree on the same fundamental values. We are both arguing from a position of what's best in the tradition of what has made America so amazing over the last 250 years. Arguing with trust in the Constitution, with trust in the Bible, with trust in the civilization that abolished slavery, gave women the power to chart lives of their own, and freed man to build upon this land how he pleases. That is what makes the West and America so special. So debate is good. Arguing is no new feature in America. Alexander Hamilton was killed in a duel by the man who lost the election to Thomas Jefferson. I think we've moved forward from that. We are not new in our division and our fighting views of what will lead us to prosperity, but when we argue, we must be rooted in the same fundamental values, a foundation to build off of, to find diversity in, but to be one. That's why when Benson called me up a few weeks ago and told me he was running for Congress, I was right on board. I know that he is rooted in those same values I believe most of Pittsburgh is rooted in. I know that Pittsburgh and the United States at large need elected officials who represent the fundamental values which are self-evident. Self-evident. A notion we have lost, this idea that something can be evident, something can need no other proof except for itself. Some things are self-evident. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We need not re-explain these. We need only uphold them. We have made so much progress in this country over the last 250 years, but things have swung too far. In making progress, we have lost the values that bind us as a nation. Human cultural evolution is not bound by Newton's third law. We don't need to abolish our shared values in order to make progress. We can use our intellect, our wisdom, to chart a path of what is precisely best. Benson believes in our shared values. Benson believes in faith, family, and freedom. Benson believes in the ability of a society to discuss openly and honestly on how to be better, while still honoring what made it a great society in the first place. The left politicians do not. They want to break down this country to build a new one. They believe our rights come from the government, not from God. They suffer from chronocentrism, the belief that your time is better than every other time in every way just because it's your time. We won't let them continue this. Democrats and Republicans alike must unite to reclaim our society. I believe Benson will lead that fight. Thank you.
Thank you, nice job. My name's Sonny. Hi, everybody. Good evening. I'm honored and welcome to be here, and good to see everybody here. This wonderful group we have. Before we get started, I want to say a prayer. Bow your heads down. Ask for God's blessing. Who woke us up today? God, Creator of heaven and earth. Thank you for everything you do for us in our daily lives, our work, our schools, our families. We ask you, Lord, to grant Benson the courage, the wisdom, the strength to continue on his ambition to win this seat. And for all of us sitting here tonight, God bless in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Thank you. Like I said, my name is Sonny Rasso. I'm a good friend of the family. I'm a school board director and also a plumber by trade. And I've known the Bensons for a while. We worship at the same church. We play ball together. The family is wonderful, amazing, all good people. I just love them. Kind of jealous, you know. It's not the Brady bunch, but they're very, very close. But anyway, when I heard Benson asked me to come and speak for him, I said, "Oh, that was a no-brainer." I said, "Yeah." Because sometimes when I'm on the mic, it takes a while to take the mic off me, so I'm trying to make it short. So yeah, Benson, I'm very happy for you making this decision. This is a big decision, and I believe you have the ability and the willingness, and I know you have the youth to take on this challenge. And I believe that good things happen to good people, and I believe that we're going to win this. And people I talk to are just happy that there's someone else running against the other candidate. Like I said, my name's Sonny. I'm from Castle Shannon. Castle Shannon is a little town in the suburbs of Pittsburgh, known for our volunteer fire department and our public safety. Small town, you know. I was raised and went to school there. It's, you know, I had a good life, grew up the way it should be, you know. Everything was, you know, good schools, good church, good people, no trouble. But that's all changed. The landscape has changed, and I don't like it. It seems like evil is just like everywhere. And we need good leadership, and I believe that Benson he has what it takes to do it. I look at a young man who has an ambition, the willingness to succeed. You know, as his softball coach, first time I see him, you know, I'm a guy who can spot talent, and I see him and his rest of his family. They're very good athletes, and that transcends the sex way you know, who they are off the field, and they're just wonderful. Benson and his brothers, they get along, they're good kids, and they know the difference between right and wrong, and that's big today. Today, you know, these youths, they don't have any common sense, and it's just the way society. I mean, like I said, I'm gonna touch base on a school board at Keystone Oaks, and we're hanging in there right now. You know, I'm a big advocate of education. I believe education is very important, and right now I see education broken. Since COVID, the data shows that our 6th graders, 7th graders are below proficient in reading, writing, and arithmetic. We spend the most money in the world on education, and the results are like, I'm not proud of what we're sending out there. We have less people going to the military, people going to public service. People are just, you know, with woke and all these movements. It's not the America I want. And I believe Benson is what I feel about Benson, he's what we want. Somebody who's honest, transparent, who does the job. He's not a doer, he's not a sayer. Every time he puts his mind to something, he gets it done. I've seen him do things at his school and stuff I'm very proud of. And now he's got a family. Now he's a father. And he's running responsibilities today. He's a father. He's an uncle. He's a godfather. He's a worker. He's doing all the right things, and now going after this candidacy and trying to make a change, and trying to make America better. That's what we all want. And that's what I like about him. He can do this, and we can do it together with him. He has a vision, same vision I see. I don't see America as broken, but it needs to be shaped up. I lived in Castle Shannon all my life. I was blessed. I had good family and stuff. The candidate that represents us, I've never seen her once in our town. I've never heard anything about what she did for our town or around here. I don't hear anything about senior citizens. I don't hear anything about education. I don't hear anything about taxes. I mean, all I hear is lip service. I want action. I believe Benson's going to do that. He's young. He's got a lot of energy, and that's what we need. We need new blood, and I think he fits the mold. I'm a Democrat, but I will vote for Republican. I always look at the best candidate, and I think we got a winner in Benson. Like I said about education, we need to do more for education. I mean, we got government, that is just, it's letting us down, especially in education. Here we have a state right now with politicians. It's already November, we have not passed the budget yet. I mean, to me, everyone should do their job. These legislators are not doing their job. That's absurd, it's unacceptable. As a school board member and a taxpayer, this budget should have been done. All that money allocated goes to education, transportation, housing, everything. We need that money. And these guys are playing around like it's nothing. Like, who cares? And what we do, we have to borrow money to pay our teachers that are retired, seniors, to pay their pensions. We have to borrow them and pay interest. That ain't fair. And that's a big burden on the school districts and the schools itself. And Benson knows this. He also knows about taxes. We're going to tax ourselves. People are going to start moving out of the district, and we're going to have to make it welcoming, livable, and bring back jobs. As a small businessman, I'm doing okay. I could do better. If you're not working, I can't get paid. I'm a plumber. If you can't, it's a shame if you can't afford to get your hot water or air conditioning or heating or pay for your gas. These are essentials. This is where we need leadership. We have to keep costs down, or else we're going to really be in bad shape. It's amazing to be here in front of everybody. I'm very honored. And Benson knows about little businesses, how important they are. There's so many in this country. That's how the country's run on small businesses. If we didn't have small businesses, we wouldn't have anything. How important small business is. I mean, you can't call Walmart to do your roof. You can't call Amazon to fix your driveway. You can't. Big corporations. You need the little guy. If you choke the little guy, we're not going to have anything. And we go to stores every day, and we're like, I went out the other day, spent like $50, $60, and all I bought was ketchup. Some condiments. There's no food. It just was very. It's not the America I know, but we need a change. And I believe this young man and his family, and his background, that we're going to succeed, and we're going to beat this candidate, I hope. And I believe November, May is the primary. We need to get some signatures and get this campaign rolling. Tell your friends, go out and vote. I believe in this guy. I think he's a winner. I see him on the ball field and off the field. I'm very proud to call him my friend. He has a wonderful family, a great background. He's very educated. He has a beautiful wife and a new child. He's got everything going. I'm kind of jealous. But if I was younger, I'd be doing the same thing. It's good to see young guys get in the arena, politicians, and doing what's right for the people, not for their own good. And I'm going to thank Mrs. Fechter. I think I started with her. I met her first, and it just segued into this beautiful family. We had a beautiful wedding a couple years ago. That was just absolutely wonderful. Met a lot of good people, and I'm just so excited to get this on, and very happy for you, and bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonny. Thank you, Xavier. Good evening. Thank you for being here tonight at the Georgetown Center. Looking out at this room, seeing family, friends, neighbors, small business owners, students, people of faith, and teammates from all corners of our community, I'm filled with gratitude and resolve. Your presence tells me the same thing my gut's been telling me for months. Western Pennsylvania is ready to lead again. I want to begin by thanking my wife Bella, who is the steady heart of our home, and our little girl Christina, who arrived this spring and reminds me every day why the future has to be brighter than the past. To my family, whose example of building and serving people taught me what grit really means. Thank you. To the volunteers saying, what do you need? You are the soul of this campaign. I'm running for Congress because I believe in the promise of this place and the promise of the American family. I'm a son of Pittsburgh. I grew up loving the Pirates, whether they were winning or rebuilding, mostly rebuilding. And I learned early that loyalty matters more than the scoreboard. When the world says it can't be done, Pittsburghers roll up their sleeves and do it anyway. A few years ago, I started a painting business with a simple idea: serve customers with excellence, treat workers with dignity, tell the truth, and keep the books honest. That small start grew into helping other painting companies grow, hire, and raise standards. I've knocked on doors, priced jobs, climbed ladders, and cleaned up at the end of a long day because customers deserve to see the floors as clean as the walls were straight. I've signed paychecks when it was tight because people were counting on me. That's what small business is: stewardship, not slogans. It's where you learn real accountability and thrift, Dave Ramsey style, because every dollar has a job and waste isn't an option. That's the heart I want to bring to Congress: stewardship. Not a show, not a career, stewardship. I'm a part of Gen Z. People say that like it's a punchline or a warning label. I hear the doubts. I also see the opportunity. My generation is the most entrepreneurial in American history, and the most burdened by debt, housing costs, and by institutions that make simple things complicated and expensive. We don't want political theater. We want a path to build a life. We want to say yes to marriage, yes to children, yes to a starter home, yes to starting a business, yes to worship without apology, and yes to hard work that actually moves you forward. Tonight, I want to share the 4 pillars that will guide everything we do in this campaign and with your help in Congress. First, homeownership. The American dream begins at a front door you can call your own. I will fight to make it easier for first-time home buyers to save, for buyers to build, and for cities like ours to turn blighted properties into starter homes. I've seen how permitting delays, needless fees, and red tape can kill good projects and drive up prices. Let's streamline, not rubber stamp. Unlock inventory and align federal incentives with local results. Pittsburgh should be the best place in America to buy your first home and raise your children. Second, marriage and family. Strong families are the most time-tested anti-poverty program on earth. I will support policies that make it easier to say I do, to welcome children, and to balance work with family life without punishing the very people who are building the next generation. That means removing marriage penalties from the tax code, protecting parental rights, supporting adoption, and honoring the work of mothers and fathers. The family is not the problem to be solved. It's the solution we should strengthen. Third, entrepreneurship. We need a fresh era of American builders. That starts with regulatory humility, honest budgets, and a tax code that rewards work, savings, and investment, especially for small businesses and the skilled trades. We should be teaching young people how to read a profit and loss, price a job, and show up on time, not just how to pass a test. College is a fine path for some, but we also need welders, electricians, roofers, nurses, and painters, men and women who create real value with their hands and their minds. If you want to shrink the wealth gap, dignify the trades, and clear the way for startups. Fourth, freedom. Because freedom fuels dreams. Freedom of speech, of conscience, of religion, and the right to build a business. Keep what you earn and raise your children according to your values. Government has a role, but its role is not to smother the people. It's to serve them. We can keep our communities safe, secure our border, and still keep faith with the Constitution that generations of Pittsburghers have fought to defend. Now, I am a practicing Catholic. My faith teaches me that every person has dignity, from the unborn child to the worker finishing a shift to the elderly neighbor who needs a hand. It teaches me that service matters more than status, and that courage means telling the truth, even when it costs you. I will bring that same conviction to Washington, not to wag a finger at others, but to keep my own promises to you. Here's a promise. I will not treat your tax dollars like a slush fund. Families can't spend more than they take in forever. Neither can a country. We need budgets that balance in reality, not in press releases. We need to audit waste, measure outcomes, and demand that every program answer a simple question. Is this actually working for the people it's supposed to serve? If not, fix it or end it. Stick with what works. That's not radical. That's Pittsburgh common sense. Another promise, I will be present. I'll spend more time in the district than in DC. I'll hold regular town halls where you speak and I listen. I'll answer hard questions. And when I vote, I'll be able to explain it back home in plain English, not behind staff-written talking points. And a third promise, I'll build coalitions to get results. I won't agree with everyone, and not everyone will agree with me. But I've run crews on job sites with people who didn't share my politics. And you know what they respected? A clean site, a clear plan, and a crew leader who owned the outcome. Congress needs a little more of that. I also want to say a word to young people in this room. Some of you are hearing that the system is broken beyond repair, that your destiny is to rent forever, to delay marriage, to keep your head down and hope for the best. Don't buy it. You are not a victim of your times. You are a steward of them. Start small, start now, and start together. If you don't know where to begin, come see us. This campaign is going to be a school of leadership for the next generation of builders. We'll teach practical things, how to cold call, keep books, manage projects, and serve customers with excellence. We will not be a content machine, we will be a competence machine. To the men and women of law enforcement and first responders, thank you. A free society cannot flourish without safety. We can demand accountability and still back the blue. To our veterans, thank you. Your courage purchased our freedom. Our debt to you is permanent and personal. Friends, I'm not running to be the most famous person in Washington. I'm running to be the most useful person for Western Pennsylvania. I want to help families buy homes. I want to help couples say yes to marriage and children. I want to unlock opportunities for small businesses and the trades. I want to protect your freedom to live your faith and your values out loud. And I want to export Pittsburgh grit to a town that has forgotten what work looks like. We have a lot of work ahead. Tonight isn't just a launch, it's an enlistment. I need you on the team. If you believe homeownership should be within reach again, join us. If you believe family is a blessing and not a burden, join us. If you believe the builder, the teacher, the nurse, the plumber, the shop owner, and the mom at the kitchen table deserve a government that respects their sacrifices, join us. Here is exactly how you can help. First, volunteer. We need door knockers, phone callers, hosts for living room meetups, and storytellers who can share why this race matters. Second, invest in this cause. Campaigns are about persuasion and turnout, and that takes resources. If you feel called, make a contribution tonight so we can meet every voter we need to win. Third, bring 2 people to our next event. Neighbors, co-workers, fellow parishioners. Look them in the eye and say this one matters, because it does. I'll close with this. When my daughter is old enough to ask what we did in 2026, I want to look her in the eyes and say, we built. We built homes and businesses, and families and friendships. We told the truth when it was hard. We trusted God's providence, and we did it together. Pittsburgh, I'm asking for your vote, your prayers, and your partnership. Let's prove that common sense still has a home in America. Let's show the country what a community of builders can do. Let's make this the moment we choose courage, over comfort, stewardship over spectacle, and the future over fear. God bless you, God bless your families, and God bless the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Let's get to work. Thank you so much for everybody coming tonight. Great to see so many people in this room, both familiar faces and new faces. I really do appreciate you all coming out. What we're going to do now, if there are questions in the audience, I'd be happy to do a little bit of Q&A here. Stand up, ask your question. I'd certainly be happy to answer. I see we still have plenty of food, cookies, muffins. Bella did a great job making the cookies and muffins, so please feel free to grab some of those. And yeah, we'll go ahead and start taking some questions, if there are any.
Oh, I have one.
Go ahead.
I wondered, Benson, when we just talked with you, you talked about the support that you have. Could you just repeat that and tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this particular race, Summer Lee is the incumbent in District 12. And so I know some of you are in Mount Lebanon, which actually falls outside of District 12. It's the Pittsburgh City Center, goes into Oakland, comes down south to about here, Elizabeth, goes east to Monroeville, Murraysville, up to Plum. And so the main levers of support within this district are the city GOP, the county GOP, and as we're all becoming familiar with Turning Point Action, which is on the ground in Pennsylvania. They have a great field representative. So their support is behind us and critical to ensuring that we win this race and unseat Summer Lee next November. It certainly is going to be a fun, arduous journey to get there, but certainly their support is critical in us getting this done. Thank you. Any other questions? Go ahead.
So Benson, full disclosure, I've known Benson since he was 5, to kindergarten with my son. And Benson, maybe you want to talk a little bit about the social work you've done for the organization that I work for. And so my question related to that is, you know that people, my heart is with adults with intellectual disability. They're funded through Medicaid, and Medicaid just saw $1 trillion be taken away. And so my question is, if you get to Congress, what would you do about the cuts to Medicaid, knowing well who the people it's hurting?
Yeah, I think it goes back to the question of when we look at policies and when we look at the investments that we are making as a country and communities, we need to go back and answer that one simple question. Is this working for the communities it's supposed to serve? And when programs do work for the communities they're supposed to serve, then we shouldn't touch them. If anything, we should put more money behind them. And for those that aren't working, we need to either fix them or end them. And so, yes, to your point about my experience sort of in social work for Emmaus and just in general, in high school was quite involved with our local parish, St. Anne's, now St. Paul of the Cross, in terms of their youth ministry, mission trips, getting involved in just about every way that I could get involved. Certainly I worked for Emmaus, which was and still is a great organization that provides resources and housing to adults with intellectual disabilities. And I got to see firsthand as a direct service provider the value behind that organization and the value behind the work that you guys do. And so my pledge is simple. We're going to go to Washington and we're going to look at programs and cuts such as Medicaid. And we're going to ensure that programs that do work get funded. Programs that don't, either fix them or we'll end them. And we'll certainly build coalitions to help that happen. Yeah, thank you. Right. Any other questions? All right. I will be going around. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the downtown city center.
Yeah, downtown city center is hugely important. Certainly a part of District 12. And I was watching the mayoral debate, I believe it was last week, between Democrat candidate Corey O'Connor and Republican candidate Tony Moreno. And the question was posed, with the upcoming draft coming to Pittsburgh in April, what is your plan for the city? Right now there are 55 empty storefronts in downtown Pittsburgh. You go downtown, you walk down the streets, you walk down Liberty Avenue, Wood Street, empty storefronts everywhere, empty offices everywhere. And it's really quite a shame, because certainly with this draft coming to Pittsburgh, it's going to bring a lot of people and a lot of dollars to the city. And unfortunately, what our city has become is a place where people go for events such as concerts, Pirates games, Steelers games, Penguins games. They might go for a show at the Bennett Himes Hall, but people aren't going downtown on a regular basis to do something as simple as shopping, right? We certainly have seen the pictures in Pittsburgh past of the Kaufman's clock and meeting under the clock and the shopping centers that used to exist downtown. And certainly online shopping plays a role, as it does with all the retail decline. But people are going to the South Hills Mall. They're going to Ross Park. They are not going downtown. And when we look at why that might be the case, certainly the red tape that exists in terms of getting into these storefronts, but the basics of a city need to be in place. If there are homeless people on every corner as you are walking downtown, people and businesses are not going to want to open storefronts. And it's not to say that we shouldn't respect and give resources to the homeless, but they cannot be in our shopping districts. If they're in our shopping districts, customers will not feel comfortable walking into the stores. Stores will not feel comfortable opening up businesses downtown, and it's just not going to work. On top of that, and we saw recently with the city police budget getting cut, we need to ensure that we have public safety in our city. There cannot be hours in downtown Pittsburgh where there are no police officers in the station. We need to have police that are patrolling. We need to have clean streets that don't have litter on them. And we need simple things such as better lighting at night. Better lighting creates an environment that is less conducive to crime. And with all of these things coming together, on top of the city putting incentives for developers, for businesses, tax credits, etc., hopefully the leadership in place, and it's looking like it's going to be Corey O'Connor coming up here in a few weeks, will be able to put the items in place to get businesses into these storefronts. If these 55 storefronts are empty when the draft comes in April, think about the economic loss that's going to come to the city. Over 1 million people are expected to come to Pittsburgh for the draft. You think about the 1 million people in the 55 stores that could be there and should be there, super important. And then obviously for the long term as well, right? We need to have those storefronts there. We need downtown to be a vibrant place where people actually want to go beyond going to Pittsburgh or a Pirates game. And so hugely important. Thank you for the question. All right. Go ahead, Dawn.
Could you give everyone a little bit of a brief timeline of what comes next? I know in November there is an election, but Benson is in November of 2026. So maybe a little highlight on there's an election next month, and then the steps that come next on how we can support you in the next steps of your campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, this election, as of yesterday, is 55 weeks away. So we're November of 2026. And most congressional campaigns, they launch around this time for the midterms, about a year in advance of the general election. Fortunately, in terms of a primary in this district, there's not going to be much of one, and so it'll be unopposed in that sense. So really the support is going to be on name ID and on fundraising to ensure that we have a chance to win come next November. A little bit about the election in 2024 in this district. Summer Lee, incumbent, beat a gentleman named James Hayes, Catholic Pittsburgh businessman, a great guy. However, he only fundraised $130,000 to Summer Lee's $2.9 million, but out fundraised 21-1. There's no chance of winning when you get out fundraised that much. But regardless of the out fundraising, Summer Lee still only won by about 50,000 votes. Right? There is a lane for victory here, but that lane only exists with proper execution from myself and our team, from the volunteers that we absolutely do need for cold calling, door knocking, passing out flyers, coming to events like this, and certainly through monetary support. As much as I don't like to stand up here asking for financial support, that's the reality of elections. That's the reality of campaigns like this. And it's something that I really did not know before before jumping into this. I had assumed there was a lot of money that goes into politics, right? But it's a whole industry, a whole ecosystem where, again, Summer Lee raises $3 million, not really trying. Assuming that we move forward, we get some momentum, we raise some money, get some support, she's gonna have no problem raising $8, $9, $10 million. And so we have an ability to win, but it's an ability that's not going to come from getting out fundraised 21-1. And so what we've done is we've put together sort of our internal plan for what our financial goals are, what we need to win this race. And I think it's important to be transparent around these matters. And what is that dollar figure that you actually need to actually have a chance to win an election like this? And when I heard the numbers, I'm sure, and I'll tell you here in a second, I was shocked as to how big it is, right? How much money is actually going to be needed to win. And from doing it, the floor is about $2.5 million that we're going to have to raise over the next 55 weeks. Realistically, we're going to have to raise a lot closer to $6 million. That's certainly not going to come from a room like this, right? we might get a good start tonight, but it's going to come from all of you and the people that we speak with going out and sharing the news, sharing the story. And the one thing that I've been speaking about is conservatives, they typically, we fall into this trap of, okay, we want limited government. We want small government. We don't want government infringing on our lives. And what that comes with is Democrats out fundraise Republicans like crazy. They have a fundraising machine that quite simply cannot be matched and cannot be beat. And so part of my job and our message is to say to the people that want limited government, to the people that want small government and want to have an America, a Pittsburgh, in which I outlined in the 4 pillars, and that is going to have to come with financial support. As much as those that haven't given before feel a little bit awkward about giving, that's the reality. And so that is hugely important. And finally, sort of the third thing, bringing people to events like these. I don't know how many events and sort of where we're gonna do and what we're gonna do. I'm learning on the fly just as I am doing this, right? I'm new to politics, but I am an entrepreneur. And what entrepreneurs do is they come up with an idea out of thin air, such as this, they develop a plan, and then they work the plan. That's what we're gonna do, and that's what every single one of you are gonna help in having us succeed. And so we're taking, instead of a product or a service to market, we're taking a campaign to market. And that market is gonna be voter feedback. That market is gonna be the fundraising that we're able to accomplish, the volunteers that we're going to be able to bring in. That is what is going to enable us to win this campaign. Last thing in terms of timelines, even though it is an unopposed race on the GOP side, there still are requirements when it comes to getting on the ballot and ballot access. And I was sitting down with a woman for dinner last week who was working on all 3 of President Trump's campaigns in 16, 20, and 24. Super politically savvy woman, she's been in politics since the 80s. And what she told me, which completely shocked me, I'm sure it's gonna shock you, we need 1,000 signatures to get on the ballot. Now those 1,000 signatures have to come from registered Republicans that live in the district that are solicited also by a registered Republican. And so what she told me is getting those 1,000 signatures will actually be more difficult than even raising $6 million. It's 1,000, right? I thought that was a relatively small number. And so what we're certainly going to need, if you are a registered Republican that is living in the district, there is a 6-week window to collect those signatures. That 6-week window starts in February, runs through about the middle of March, and we absolutely need those. Not only do we need your signatures, but we need you to go help us find signatures as well, right? I'm only one person, we're only gonna have so many people. We need your help in getting those signatures, and that is going to be an uphill battle there to get that done. What I was told is we'll need about 3,000 signatures to get to that 1,000 number because of issues of fatal flaws, Democrats that might be signing on a sheet of paper that disqualifies the whole sheet, registered Democrat that might be soliciting signatures unknowingly, that disqualifies the whole sheet. So there's all sorts of technicalities that go into it that we just need help. And I will say for those that are registered as a Democrat, you can switch your party registration super easily. right? If you want to switch to a registered Republican just to get a signature, which we will need, you can switch back to being a Democrat nearly right after, right? There's nothing that's going to prevent you from doing that. But you do have to live in District 12, so for those in Mount Lebanon, that will not be the case. But yeah, thank you for the question, Bella, and certainly we'll be grateful for all the support.
Benson, the shutdown now is largely around healthcare. Something that I'm painfully aware of. We spend twice as much as every other country, every other industrial democracy, yet we leave large numbers out that are uninsured and underinsured. The contribution of healthcare to inflation this year, I got the numbers for a company that I own, and it's going to be, healthcare costs are going to go up 18% at that company. They're expected to go up 10% overall. It's going to add to inflation. Do you believe that healthcare is a right or a privilege? In 28 industrial democracies where they think that healthcare is a privilege, they on average are living 6 years longer than we are. And out of those 28 countries, we have the highest infant mortality. In some states like Mississippi, 15 babies per 1,000 die at childbirth. So could you speak to the healthcare in terms of whether you see it as a right or a privilege, and that we should not, in the rich United States of America, have people without healthcare?
Yeah, it's a great question, and honestly one that I think that conservatives and Republicans, by and large, have really dropped the ball on, is healthcare. Right? Passed under the Affordable Care Act under the Obama administration, and there were certainly good things that came out of that, there were some bad things that came out of that, but overall Republicans have not been able to come up with a plan for addressing the healthcare needs of the country. And I think the question, is this a privilege or is this a right, almost simplifies it into a black and white question, whereas just as everything in society, there's always going to be some gray area there. And so I don't think we ask the question, is it a privilege or is it a right, but how do we address the most amount of Americans in the most affordable way to get the highest quality care for the highest quality outcomes. And as it stands today, in terms of access to care, somebody walks into a hospital with insurance or without insurance, they are still going to receive care at point of sight. Now that doesn't mean that it's going to be affordable, it doesn't mean that it's going to be painless in terms of the financial burden that comes after it. Medical bankruptcies are the leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States, and it shouldn't be that way, right? People shouldn't have to lose their home, lose their cars, lose their livelihoods simply because they get into a car accident. And it happens a lot. And so when we look at healthcare, it's almost important, as an aside, to go back to the basics of what makes a healthy society and the basics of how we look at another segment. And I compare healthcare to cars, and I think it's an applicable comparison in the fact that as a vehicle owner, we take our cars into the shops for oil changes, we get new tires put on our cars, we get our transmission fluid exchanged, we go in for inspection, right? We take care of our cars pretty well, and it costs a little bit of money to do so. But we also pay for insurance, right? We send a couple $100 a month or whatever it might be to Progressive. We have a certain amount that we pay out of pocket, and if we get into a car accident, they pay for us to get a new car. Now the big thing there that we miss when it comes to healthcare in the United States is that preventative aspect. We treat our cars very well, but we don't treat ourselves with the same care and respect that we should. If we go back to the basics of like what might be, we have oil changes in cars, what is the oil change on a human? We have inspections on cars, what's the inspection on a human? Inspection might be making sure that you're going to your annual healthcare visits. Oil changes might be making sure that you're putting healthy, high quality food and not eating processed food that have high levels of seed oils, right? There are things that we can do on the front end to prevent the problems on the back end. Getting the required amount of exercise, right? If everybody were to just get up and walk 10,000 steps a day, eat high quality foods, get 6 to 8 hours of sleep at night, and go to their doctors at least once a year, we probably wouldn't have all the issues that we have right now. And so understand that that needs to be pushed at the same time as the healthcare solution needs to be pushed. The other thing that we need to think about when it comes to healthcare and health insurance is it is treated very, very differently than the other types of insurance that we have as consumers, right? We might have auto insurance, home insurance, life insurance. And what that's saying is for home insurance, right, I pay Progressive or Liberty Mutual a certain amount each month. They value the home. I might pay the first couple thousand out of pocket. If a tornado hits my house, they are paying for the house to be completely fixed. And so it's a relatively easy and simple process to understand. I don't want the financial risk as a homeowner or owning a car, or even when it comes to life insurance, what happens to my family after I die. And I pay a company to take on the risk based on certain variables. If you have an older roof, your home insurance is going to cost more. If you drive an older vehicle or a vehicle that has less of the safety technology, your car insurance is going to cost more. Even being in different zip codes, your car insurance is going to change. For life insurance, right, I pulled a policy shortly after we got married, and my policy premium that I am paying is certainly a lot lower what I'm paying per month than what I would pay in 15 years when that policy expires. Right? These different insurers look at different factors in actuarial tables to come up with what the consumer should be paying. But we don't necessarily do that in health insurance, and the reason behind it is certainly to allow those that have pre-existing conditions that through no fault of their own aren't in as good of a shape as they could be, right? We need to provide access to them, but what that does is it puts somebody like myself, I go out and I buy my own health insurance as a small business owner, and I buy the health insurance for our daughter Christina, and I'm out as an individual in the marketplace doing that, but I'm paying the same exact amount for health insurance that somebody 30 years older than me that has multiple pre-existing conditions and multiple things going on that are wrong, we're paying the same exact amount for the same exact coverage. And I think that there's something fundamentally unfair about that in terms of the subsidization from myself and other young healthy Americans towards those that might not be as healthy, might not be doing the preventative maintenance, might not be doing certain things. And the other item to point out is when we look at health insurance, right, it goes, I am working for a company. The company is providing me my health insurance. A certain amount gets taken out of my paycheck each week for it. I get sick. I need to go to the doctor, go to the hospital. I go to the hospital. Let's say I broke my arm and I need surgery and a cast on my arm. I go to the hospital, get what I need taken care of. The hospital is confirming with the insurance company as to whether this is all covered under insurance. Doctors, nurses, everybody, they need to go through all sorts of paperwork and hoops to ensure that they get paid, doing the charts that are necessary, doing everything that they need to do to submit to the insurance companies so that the insurance company can then pay for the coverage. And it's almost like if you think about how many points are going there, it's a lot of different points. It's me to the healthcare provider to the insurance company potentially back to me to let me know if this is covered. Then the healthcare provider has to jump through all these hoops to get paid by the insurance company. And they have to submit that, and they have to wait for the insurance company to pay them. And there's this circle that just keeps going and going and going, which causes bureaucracy, which causes administrative bloat, and puts us in a position where we're paying for all these unnecessary fees because of this massive structure that exists. What I would propose is simplifying healthcare. And the way that I would think that this would work the best is I, as the person that is getting sick, or I, as the person that is going to the doctor, I go to my doctor, I work directly with the doctor, and we put our money into say a pile, right? So all of us in the room, we're paying a certain amount each month, depending on our different levels of health. And then that money will be what subsidizes the healthcare. So I'm going directly to the doctor's charging me directly. I'm then going to the health insurance provider and taking that money and paying for healthcare. There's a lot of ways to go about it, a lot of arguments that happen with healthcare, But at the end of the day, let's go back to preventative maintenance, fix the issues on that front, and that'll make our country a whole lot healthier in terms of the negative outcomes that we see. Thank you. All right, I think that will do it for questions. Like I said, feel free, we have plenty of food back there, cookies, muffins, etc. Take some home with you as well, certainly don't be left with all those leftovers, but it was great seeing you all tonight. Again, I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Zayri. Thank you, Sunny. And I'll certainly be around to talk a little while after. Thank you.